Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. In Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you also follow me on all my social media platforms to stay connected with all Keek on the Mic news. Before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I first off want to apologize for being inactive. Over the weekend, I celebrated my bachelor party. I'm actually getting married in about 2 weeks. So I was out of town celebrating the bachelor party before the big wedding day. So I do want to apologize for being inactive during the NFL draft. But I am officially back, and I wanted to talk today about the Bears Hall of Picks. And obviously the NFL draft has come and gone. The Chicago Bears added 10 new young rookies. I'm ready to come into the organization and work as hard as they can to make this organization better. And first things first, when you look at the Chicago Bears draft, right, there was nothing sexy about this draft for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears, but I felt like we added a lot of needs, right? So today I'm going to go through each pick and just go over each pick and give my grade and report card for each Chicago Bears draft pick. And like I said, there was nothing sexy about this NFL draft for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. Once again, I felt like we conquered a lot of needs and addressed a lot of needs on this Chicago Bears roster. So as I'm going through each pick and giving my report card for each pick, make sure you follow along, comment down below, and let me know your grades for each pick, and let me know your overall grade for the whole 2023 draft class for the Chicago Bears. So starting off with round one, we selected offensive tackle Darnell Wright. Obviously, I made a video on this, and I gave Darnell Wright a grade of an A. I was obviously the Chicago Bears had a major need on the offensive line, especially when you look at the right tackle position. And obviously Darnell Wright fills that need massively, right? Darnell Wright is a big, strong, and athletic guard. When you look at his athleticism, he's 6'6", 330 pounds. But he moves like he's 300 pounds. So obviously he's able to get outside, get to the second level. Just very versatile as well. He could possibly play left and right as well. But obviously we drafted him to play right tackle because he was the best true right tackle in this year's draft. Like I said, he fills a major need at the right tackle position. Darnell Wright is a plug-and-play player. He's a day-one starter, and like I said, he was arguably the best tackle in this draft. So I'm very pleased that they were able to get him. And I know a lot of people are saying, wanted Jalen Carter. The Bears traded down and got Darnell Wright. I feel like Darnell Wright was the safe pick because all in all, we need to protect Justin Fields. Justin Fields was sacked 55 times, and I know that our defensive line was putrid, but the Bears did address the defensive line as well later on in the NFL draft. So I feel like adding a guy like Darnell Wright, a guy that's going to come in right away and be a day one starter, and I feel like be really good for the Chicago Bears offensive line. I feel like it was a really good pick, and that's why I gave it a grade of an A. Moving on to round two, where the Chicago Bears had 2 second-round picks. I'm starting off with Javon Dexter, defensive tackle out of Florida. I really like this pick. When you look at Dexter, his athleticism is very scary. He's 6'6", 310 pounds. It has 4.8 speed, which is absolutely insane, and it really does show on tape. When you watch Dexter's tape, his closing burst is absolutely ridiculous, and it's absolutely scary when you look at his closing speed. When you look at Dexter's game, right, his upside is definitely high, right? And that's super exciting for the Chicago Bears. But the issue with him as Florida was his production, and it didn't really reflect his athletic capability. So the production just wasn't there, even though he has high upside. And when you watch his tape, the production just wasn't there at all. But I'm confident that, the Chicago Bears coaching staff are going to be able to develop him a little bit more and get the most out of him. So I think the ceiling is really high for Javon Dexter, but it's going to be up to the Chicago Bears coaching staff to get him to that place where he is a true threat in the NFL for a long time. But all in all, I feel like it was a really good pick for Chicago Bears. Once again, the Chicago Bears defensive line was putrid. We needed to add to the defensive line. This is a guy that could possibly play all along the defensive line. So I like that. Like I said, he's super athletic. So 6'6", 310 pounds. So overall, I like the pick, and I give it a grade B. Moving on to the second pick of round two, the Chicago Bears actually traded up and selected cornerback Tyrique Stevenson out of Miami. And when you look at Tyrique Stevenson, he is a really good athlete, especially considering his size. He has really good size as well. He plays with a lot of hustle and intensity. So when you look at him, he's definitely a Matt Eberflus type of guy, which I really like. And I understand that when Matt Eberflus is looking for his cornerbacks, he's looking for corners that, have that good hustle and intensity, the hitch principle, right? But he's also looking for cornerbacks with good size, which Tyrique Stevenson has. Stevenson also plays with a really good physicality, not always seen in corners, so he does have that nasty physicality to him, which is also really good. And he has improved ball skills, which I really like, especially when you're seeing the last 2 years. And he is definitely a guy that can start right away for the Chicago Bears. Leading up to the NFL draft, I told you guys this a lot, that I can see Ryan Poles adding one more corner to the secondary. I didn't think that we're done. I knew that Ryan Poles considered a premium position on this roster. I know there may be still some question marks on Jaylon Johnson, but if Jaylon Johnson comes out and can stay healthy and performs well, now you're looking at Jaylon Johnson on one side, you're looking at Tyrique Stevenson on the other side, and now you could officially put Kyler Gordon in the slot, which would be really good for Kyler Gordon. I think that is the spot he needs to be at. But I think this is another good pick for Ryan Poles and Chicago Bears, and I'm also going to give the pick of Tyrique Stevenson a B. Moving on to round three, the Chicago Bears selected defensive tackle Zacch Pickens out of South Carolina. Pickens is another strong, stout player, especially against the run. In my opinion, this was a player, when you watch the tape, that was actually kind of misused in college. Pickens has flashed interior pass rush skills, but wasn't really turned loose too often in college. So I think bringing him in here, I think once again, I think just like when you're looking at Javon Dexter, I think the Chicago Bears coaching staff can really get a lot out of him. I think he's going to be a big time player for the Chicago Bears. He's got the power and the length and has position versatility. Once again, there's another guy. I'm not athletic enough to play three technique, can move him around along the defensive line. I know that's what Ryan Poles likes in his defensive lineman. So overall, I do love this pick. The Bears really addressed the defensive line, like the defensive tackle position. They didn't address the edge position, so we have to talk about that another day. But the Bears did really go hard in making sure they had those athletic three technique defensive linemen to hopefully bolster their defensive line. And I feel like they did that with adding a guy like Zacch Pickens. So I do like this pick. I'm also going to give the grade for Zacch Pickens a B. Now moving on to round four, and this is probably one of my favorite picks for Ryan Poles in this entire 2023 NFL draft. They selected running back Roschon Johnson out of Texas. And like I said, I really like this pick for the Chicago Bears. When you look at Roschon Johnson, obviously he was kind of caught in the back burners because of Bijan Robinson, right? So he was just in the back burners. He was basically Bijan's understudy, right? But I really like this pick. Johnson is a big, strong, athletic, and versatile running back. He is a really good blocker. He's really good in pass protection. That's going to be really valuable for the Chicago Bears. I think, to me, this is basically a replacement for David Montgomery. He could be a better version, actually, of David Montgomery. Like I say, he's really good in pass protection and has good receiving skills as well. So he's really the complete back. And the best part about Roschon Johnson is that he's a good teammate. He's a good guy. When they asked Bijan Robinson at the NFL Combine, he raved about his character and his leadership. He basically said, I wouldn't be able to do what I did without Roschon Johnson. So I feel like this can absolutely be a steal in round four for the Chicago Bears. And this is a guy that can possibly be running back one for the Chicago Bears, and maybe as soon as this year. So I'm excited that we were able to get him. I think it was great value in round four. And this was obviously one of my favorite picks in the entire 2023 NFL draft. And that's why I gave this pick an A grade. Moving on to the second of round four picks, the Chicago Bears got their wide receiver in Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati. And this is another guy that I really like. Scott is on the smaller side at 5'10", 177 pounds. But when you watch the tape, he definitely plays bigger than his size. He has outstanding speed, sharp route running skills, and he has that yards after catch ability. When you watch the tape, he can take a 5-yard slant and take it the distance. offense, right? So I really like that. And I can really see fireworks between him and Justin Fields. And the cool thing about Tyler Scott, he said Chicago is where he wanted to be all along. So I definitely like guys that want to be Chicago Bears. And this is the guy that wants to be a Chicago Bear. I think he's a great addition to our offense. I think he could be a true slot receiver. I think he will also be valuable in special teams as well. So I think this is going to be a really good addition for Justin Fields. Just gives Justin Fields yet another weapon to throw to. He's going to be able to take the top off the defenses. And I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks between Tyler Scott and Justin Fields. So I give the grade for Tyler Scott a B+. I really like that pick for the Chicago Bears. Moving on to round 5, the Chicago Bears selected linebacker Noah Sewell out of Oregon. Obviously, this is the younger brother for Penei Sewell from the Detroit Lions. And I was actually surprised that the Chicago Bears were able to get him in round 5, because there was a point in time where this guy was considered one of the best linebackers in the country. He doesn't have great speed, but overall, he is a really good athlete. He has the ability to accelerate downfield, to make tackles. And the one thing I really do like about him is that he's a really good blitzer. He does struggle in coverage at times. Like if you expect him to cover a tight end one-on-one, most of the time he is going to lose that battle. So he does need to improve in that area. But overall, he is a smart player and he's a violent player. And this is a player that's going to give you that intensity and hustle. He's going to follow the hits principle. I think in due time, he can be a very, very valuable asset to the Chicago Bears defense. But obviously, I feel that he will start out as a special teamer, and I think he will be valuable in that asset as well. I think people need to consider that special teams is a big part of football and the team sport aspect of it. But overall, I really like this pick once again for the Chicago Bears, where we were able to get him in round 5. I think it was a good spot for him, and I give this pick a grade B. Moving on to another round 5 pick, the Chicago Bears selected another cornerback, Terrell Smith, out of Minnesota. And this is another pick that I really like. Overall, like I said, this wasn't a sexy draft for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. But overall, I think he addressed a lot of needs. But I really like this pick for the Chicago Bears. I really like Smith as a pure, true football player. He has a nasty play style, and has the frame to do it. At 6 foot, 200 pounds, he can play that way. He can play with that physicality, that nasty style that he wants to play with, because he is a bigger corner. He is also a great athlete with plenty of speed, which is also nice. I think he will make an immediate impact as a special teamer. Like I said, I think there's going to be a whole lot of competition in the secondary, and I like that Ryan Poles brought in 2 more cornerbacks, young cornerbacks that are ready to work. Cornerbacks that are Matt Eberflus type of guys. So Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon are going to have to show up, right? Because if they don't show up, guys like Terrell Smith are going to come in and take their spot, right? So I like the competition that Ryan Poles added to the cornerback room. But overall, this guy will make an immediate impact on special teams. I think in the near future, once he's developed a little bit more, I think he will make an impact on the Chicago Bears defense as well. So I give the Terrell Smith pick a B+. Moving on to round number 7, where the Chicago Bears had 2 7th-round picks. They selected defensive tackle Travis Bell out of Kennesaw State. To me, personally, adding a 3rd defensive tackle and possibly not adding the edge rusher. I know there may not been an edge rusher on their board that they liked enough, but I think adding a 3rd defensive tackle in the 7th round was just a tad bit of an unnecessary move. Obviously, when you look at Bell, he has athletic upside, and he is super strong, which I like. I'm just interested to see if he can actually make that jump and actually play in the NFL. Obviously, coming from Kennesaw State, a smaller school, playing against not as good of competition. I'm curious to see if he can actually make that jump and play in NFL. It's always possible. We'll see what happens. Maybe he is able to make that jump. I'm just interested to see if he can actually make that leap into the NFL. So this pick wasn't my favorite, and that's why I gave it a grade of a C. And moving on to the final pick in the 7th round, the 10th and final pick for the Chicago Bears, the Bears selected safety Kendall Williamson out of Stanford. The Bears were looking to add depth at safety. I mentioned this before. They have not re-signed DHC. I think this is a move to just add depth at the safety position and just add yet another player that can possibly contribute to special teams as well. And like I said, special teams is just as important as the offense and the defense. This is a guy that I can see making an immediate impact. I think this that's going to be the only way that he actually makes the team as a special teamer. And they will get Bolt Williamson. He will be able to come in and be a special teamer. He will be able to come in and add a little bit of depth at the safety position. This is a big guy with good closing speed, which I really like. His coverage ability isn't great, so he may be a liability if he's ever in the game as a backup safety. So I don't like that. But his special teams value will definitely be there. And like I said, I think that's the only way that he makes the team for the Chicago Bears. So I also give this a grade C for the Kendall Williamson pick out of Stanford. So overall, like I said, this wasn't a sexy draft by Ryan Poles and Chicago Bears, but I do feel like we addressed a lot of needs. We got our offensive tackle, right tackle of the future, and Darnell Wright, and we added 2 big defensive tackles that have position versatility, and we added a couple of cornerbacks that can make an impact, I think, right away. And I think overall there is going to be some day one starters for the Chicago Bears that we drafted in this 2023 NFL draft. And I think Ryan Poles understood that we had some needs. Obviously, he did not address the edge position. I will do another video of some possible options that the Bears could sign to address those needs. But I think it was a good start. I think we understood that this rebuild was going to take a couple of years, right? It wasn't going to happen overnight. But the Bears are still in the right direction. But overall, I think it was really important to lay the foundation in the trenches. And that's exactly what he did in his first 3 picks by adding 2 defensive tackles to the defense line that was putrid, filling a huge need at right tackle. And to me, that is the most important thing, because I feel like all 3 of those players, even including cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, can start right away and make an impact right away for this football team. So overall, we'll see how this pans out. But I think, once again, it wasn't a sexy draft, but I do like what Ryan Poles did in this year's draft. So overall, Bears fans, how do you feel about this year's NFL draft? And what overall grade do you give Ryan Poles' second draft as a Chicago Bears GM? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic.